Hi everyone, Deb Walker here to talk to you today about job design and motivation. Our Lesson 6 discussion asks us to read the case 6B, an OB classic on Hovey and Beard Company from an organizational behavior textbook that we have, Yulbein et al., 2015, and compare how the actual job of the painters scores using the core job characteristics model before and after they made changes, and to explain the positive impact of the job redesign. Now, before we analyze the case, let's just quickly go over what the job characteristics model entails and how it serves to be a motivating factor that can influence job performance. So Hackman and Oldman's job characteristics model provides a framework for creating job designs that helps motivate and increase performance. Before we look at the characteristics of within the framework, it's also important to recognize that it operates under the assumption that there must first be a good person job fit. That is, the requirements should fit the person's of the job should fit that person's skills and their interests and their experience. For example, if you've been an engineer for 10 years, you probably won't be motivated to paint toys. So the job characteristics model includes skill variety, which is how much a job includes a variety of activities that use a person's different skills. Task identity, how much a job requires seeing the job through to completion from beginning to end. And task significance, like the importance of the job or how meaningful it is to the overall organization. Autonomy, how much freedom and discretion the employees are given in scheduling their own work and their own procedures. Job feedback, how much the job provides direct and clear information to employees about their overall job performance. Now, in order to apply the job characteristics model to the case, let's take a quick look at what happened at Hovey and Beard. So Hovey and Beard is a toy manufacturer. They make wooden toys. They used to paint them by hand, and because of increased demand, they realized that they had to start automating the process to keep up with that demand. So, with the help of the company's engineers, they set up an assembly line of sorts where the painters would have to work at a particular pace that the engineers set to produce the final product. Now, this type of work is considered job simplification, which is based on the Frederick Taylor's scientific management approach that was aimed at workforce efficiency. That was back in the 1900s. Now, this theory standardizes procedures to come up with a one best way to do a job or the most efficient way to do highly specialized or repetitive tasks such as assembly line work. Now, this type of work often leads to low employee satisfaction and, quite frankly, to boredom. Now, that would definitely cause low work quality, more demand for higher pay, just to account for the job's unbearableness, and can also lead to things like absenteeism, and ultimately that could lead to high turnover. Anyways, at Hovey and Baird, the painters were incentivized with a decreasing group learning bonus that would disappear in 6 months when they became more proficient at what they were doing. And at that point, they would receive a group bonus when they exceeded the production standards. Well, this was sort of demotivating because they thought it might end when they started experiencing productivity problems. So they felt a little uncertain about that. Not very motivating. Not surprisingly, after a couple of months, production started to decrease. That's when the painters started to, complain about a number of the issues related to their working conditions. And after a few back and forths involving consultant, management, engineering, the painters proposed their own inexpensive solution to one of their main concerns, which had to do with ventilation. They suggested that the company install some fans to help solve the problem. So the company was quite happy with that, and they complied, and the painters were also quite happy. So at that point, they felt empowered in their work because they instigated the change, and they were able to control some aspect of their working conditions, which actually motivated them quite a bit to become more productive again. Now, according to Yulby in 2015, this type of psychological empowerment can be very motivating because it gives people a sense of personal fulfillment and purpose that arouses their feelings of competency and commitment to their work. So after that, the painters were encouraged to regularly discuss their concerns with management, and they were empowered each time to make their own suggestions for improvements in the adjustment of the assembly line speed. After a few tweaks, they got it to where they wanted to be, and they were happy, and they were producing quite well. So this also served to keep them empowered even more, and then their production continued to increase. Interestingly, the speed that they were producing at now was actually higher than the original speed that they started with, which they were complaining was too fast. And with their increased production, their bonuses increased so dramatically that the other workers started to complain of the inequity. At that point, things went downhill because management addressed the issue by discontinuing their bonus and reconfiguring the assembly line hooks back to the original position. And production dropped quite dramatically. So the painters no longer felt empowered to produce, and most of them eventually quit. So let's go back to the core characteristics model again and do a scorecard based on the job before and after the changes were made. So skill variety, which is how much a job includes a variety of activities that use different skills. Well, before, low, it was pretty specific. And after, still low, no real skill variety. They were basically still painting, even when the changes were made. Task identity, how much the job requires seeing a job through to completion from beginning to end. Well, there wasn't much change here because the construction of the toys began elsewhere in the plant, and the painters completed the assembly by painting them as before. But to score this with regard to the painter's completion of the painting task itself, so before, high, and after, high. Task significance. The importance of the job or how meaningful it is to the organization, well, the toys are the company's only product, so completing them by painting them was significant before, so it was high, and after the changes, still high. Autonomy. How much freedom and discretion employees are given scheduling their own work and procedures. Now, this is where there was a significant change from low before and high after the changes. And then back to a demoralizing low after the bonus was taken away and their improvements were reversed. Job feedback. How much the job provided direct and clear information to employees about their job performance. Initially, this was low. The painters did what they were told to do and may have only received periodic feedback from their supervisors. But after the changes, high, because they were listened to by the management. And then they received much more timely feedback, which was motivating to them. Of course, when they reverted back to the original, I'm sure that was worse. As a matter of fact, they were gone. So the key takeaways here are that when any of the core job characteristics are enriched, it can empower the employees and give them the confidence and motivation to be more productive. Their work will have more meaning and they'll be more committed to the company. Thanks for watching.